In the early days of March of 2025, two intrepid travellers embarked on a journey across a long and arduous, treeless plain. This is our story of crossing the Nullarbor. A roadhouse is many things: a fuel stop, a motel, a place to ponder the existentialism of your bank account, and of course, a museum of outdated potato cakes and questionable hot dogs. And yet, in the middle of nowhere, to us, it feels like real civilization.
We came for sustenance, but settled for diesel. There are no snacks worth risking today's budget. We ride on.
And here it is, the edge of an entire continent, the place where Australia simply gives up. It's where the cliff whispers, "Look closely, or you'll miss the whales."
There were no whales. I did cry a little. Unrelated.
Not everyone made it to Western Australia that day. Border laws are firm, and so are the biosecurity policies. Eating a whole cucumber on the side of the road seems like a good idea until you have to do it. Rest in compost, little one.
The real pest here is bureaucracy. And also me, for forgetting that cucumber.
Driving across the Nullarbor is less like driving through time zones and a little more like time gently unspooling around you. You'll forget where it started, and you're certainly not sure where it will end.
Technically, I am in South Australia, but my phone, it says Perth time, and the Roadhouse here, it runs on Euclid time, which I'm 80% sure is made up. I've had 6 coffees and lunch 3 times just to be safe.
In 1877, these walls hummed with the earliest electric thoughts of a nation. Now, they house mostly sand, silence, and probably a snake, or 3. This place was once the future of communication. Now, it's just a very scenic reminder of everything that you think is urgent, probably isn't. Messages buzzed across this desolate stretch faster than anyone thought possible. And today, the only thing that buzzes, it's the flies. The road here is so straight, it starts to feel unreal. It's like you're not moving forward, just watching the landscape shift around you. And somewhere along the line, we stopped trying to get anywhere and we just drove.
The perfect wave is part of the Nullarbor code. It means I see you, I'm still awake, and I promise I'm not a weirdo. But anything more than the subtle finger lift, and frankly, you've overcommitted.
And so, after 3 long days and over 700 straight miles, 12 hours of podcasts they won't remember, 2 near misses with road trains, and 1 big March fly bite, they had conquered the Nullarbor. And what it lacked in topographical complexity, it made up for in absolute existential absurdity.
Well, if you have made it this far through this video, all I can say is thank you for indulging me. The quirk of the Nullarbor, it rubs off. And while I can say with some certainty that I am no filmmaker and far less an actor, I really had a lot of fun documenting this journey through a slightly different lens. Pardon the pun. Now that the journey is complete, I just wanted to sit down and properly talk through some of the idiosyncrasies that come with driving the air highway. And just a note that the reason that Rowan isn't in any of this footage is because he was behind the camera the whole time. Sorry, Rowan. Firstly, the whole crossing multiple time zones in just a few days does make you feel a touch crazy. For me, it was perpetually midday. Like, you're driving and it feels like the sun is moving really slowly across the sky. And I guess it's because you're kind of driving with the rotation of the earth. I mean, like, not quite, but sort of. It's kind of hard to explain. I guess the best way I can convey it is it's like you have a really, really slow case of jet lag. Now, everyone thinks that being out on the Nullarbor equals no trees, and that's understandable when the Latin translation is literally no trees. But I was surprised with just how forested it actually was. It's topographically pretty flat, yes, but really the only open plains that you'll experience is the stretch between the Nullarbor Roadhouse and Eucla, the border. And then also obviously a little bit on the 90-mile straight, but I was honestly surprised. It was not at all what I had expected. The Nullarbor has really illuminated my love of roadhouses. Each one was like this buzzing little oasis in the middle of nowhere. And there's a real sense of oneness with the other travelers when you get there, because you're all literally tackling this same 1,200 kilometer journey. And starting conversation is also pretty easy because you're all gonna have that pre-border crossing food swap moment where, if you're lucky, you won't waste any fresh food because you can pass it on to someone who's traveling in the other direction. On that note, you really should be aware of the biosecurity laws when you are traveling east to west. Absolutely no fresh food or vegetables can be taken into Western Australia. And while I joke about us being a little bit unprepared, we were quite aware. That bit about the cucumber is completely staged. And unfortunately, due to some unprepared travelers, the pullover rest area just before the border crossing is completely trashed. It's an absolute dumping ground for a whole manner of things, and honestly, that's really sad. So do your research. Aside from the fresh food swap, the other moment of camaraderie on the Nullarbor is the wave. And this is a pretty common tradition in a lot of remote areas in Australia. And it's simply a game that drivers play to keep each other awake and show a little sign of friendliness in what is otherwise a pretty lonely landscape. And let it be known that if you don't wave, the other driver is now well aware that you're just a grumpy bugger. But there is literally hundreds of cars, vans, and trucks crossing the Nullarbor. And so there is a lot of waving. It also meant that overtaking the slowpokes was a little bit harder than I anticipated. Which brings me to my next point about the remoteness of the Nullarbor. Be prepared, but don't be scared. The maximum time between roadhouses is 2 hours, but most are actually only an hour apart. And like I said, they're all their own little buzzing oasis. Did I mention that we love roadhouses? And when it comes to the best time of the year for crossing the Nullarbor, I think we nailed it. It was early April and the days were honestly really temperate, and it was just cold enough at night to want to put a jumper on. The flies really weren't that bad, except for that one March fly bite that I got. He got me good out near the Telegraph outpost. Overall, it was a really fun experience in of itself. Initially, I was a little bit skeptical of what it would be like on long driving days in pin straight roads, but honestly, there's heaps out there to keep you entertained. There are a lot of stopping points and a lot of things to see. And it comes with a great sense of accomplishment when you get to the other side.